Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for June 13th through 17th, 2022. Well, really powerful energy today. Mercury has just moved over back into the sign of Gemini, coming out of retrograde shadow. So one more week left of retrograde shadow, moving us into the June solstice. Today, we also have the Sagittarius Full Moon, a huge culmination of fire energy. We have Mars and Jupiter and Chiron, and Mars and Chiron together in Aries for this full moon. Very powerful, amplifying the fire energy. Now, this fire creation access energy, we haven't had this for a while. We also haven't had that along with the Mercury coming out of retrograde shadow, the forward motion. And we're kind of like, there's kind of an energy of, okay, so there's some energy available. Things are starting to move. What are you going to do with it? And, you know, the existential question of our time is, what are you doing? What are we doing? This is so powerful because the sun is in square to Neptune, coming into square. Neptune is at 25 degrees Pisces, and the sun is at, for this full moon, 23 degrees Gemini. That puts the full moon at 23 degrees Sagittarius. So with Neptune, we have a mutable T-square. So here we've got some fire, and we've got some, things are starting to move. The wheel of time is turning. But then this sun square Neptune and moon coming into that mutable T-square, the mutable signs are about adjusting. So this full moon is about adjusting. And in square to Neptune, it has to do with our identity. The same question, what are we doing? Who are we? What's the point of this? We're having a very powerful feeling of pressure, like that seed pod in the fires of life, just getting ready to crack open. And this is indeed what we're being asked to do. But this pressure building has to do with a feeling that if humanity doesn't wake up to who they are really as spiritual beings, like, we can't survive, you know? Because we have this huge bloom of Aries energy, and Aries is about life or death, this place of where you fight for life, this grabbing a hold of, or that incarnation of spirit coming into form, the spark of creation. And so that energy is super expanded because that's the energy of Jupiter. Wherever Jupiter is, it brings more. And so in Aries, it's like, come on, and so Mars recently went over Jupiter, very powerful activation. And now Mars has come to Chiron in Aries. And Chiron is our deepest wounds. So our deepest wounds around life force are where we've given it away, or where we didn't fully access it. And indeed, this is a huge energy going on for all of humanity, but particularly supernova souls, coming out of this very strange time of suppression of our expression and our gathering and our life. And then realizing, having this huge desire with this fire and Aries activation to grab a hold of life and to live more fully. And then recognizing that perhaps we were never really living fully, and we never really have in this incarnation. And so now we fight to keep our life and our freedom and our organism and our health. Now, Mars is our masculine planet. It's an energy of action, of doing, of building, of creating. And so the Mars at home, so happy to be home in Aries. You know, so it's like Mars is like, oh yeah, finally we got some fire here. And Jupiter's there. It's like, oh yeah. But then coming up to Chiron. So the Chiron, the deepest wounds around life force, is, like we said, where we gave it away. So the masculine, it's like the masculine is having a huge opportunity in all of us, right? So we're not talking about men and women. We're talking about the masculine energy, the feminine energy within each of us. It does translate to relationships and that also, but this is what these messages are about, is this masculine activation. And it's so beautiful because the feminine is getting a massive activation as well. And Venus is at home in Taurus, and Mars is at home in Aries. Now, they're also in a semi-sextile relationship, just one sign over, with Aries and Taurus. And so there's a very powerful energy here with these activations that are happening. Now, because the next sign over, like Aries is a fire sign and masculine, Taurus is a feminine sign and earth. And so the signs of the zodiac are very different energies. And so typically the next person, the next sign over, they don't really see eye to eye necessarily. But if there's an aspect of semi-sextile, which is exactly 30 degrees, then there's some serious magic. So we've got Mars and Chiron, and then Venus and Mars and Chiron at 15 degrees, Venus and Uranus together. They became together at 16 degrees over the weekend. And so with Venus and Mars both at home and both getting activated and in a semi-sextile relationship to each other, the door is opening. A portal is being created to a whole new world. And there's huge messages for us here. So the masculine has been disempowered because he tried so hard to serve and to love and to honor, but he wasn't recognized and honored for his offering. And so the masculine is wounded and feels like a failure. Now, this is so huge because the Sagittarius energy brings this up for supernova souls. It's like a wound in the side of supernova souls over lifetimes. Typically, Sagittarius in your chart will reflect where you didn't feel like you were able to complete your quest. And of course, we were persecuted for the last thousands of years, people, those souls coming to bring the light, especially in the Piscean age. So with the moon and the sun in square to Neptune and Pisces, we're having opportunity to heal all of this and come back into our power, which means actually with Mars and Venus in this activated state, but at home, it's coming home. Coming into our power is coming home. Now, Venus and Uranus is speaking to an activation of higher frequency vibration on a cellular level, embodying this goddess energy on a cellular level. We're being asked to incarnate and embody with this Taurus energy. Venus, Uranus, and now Venus is coming up to the North Node. It's a new path forward for the feminine, and that's embodied creation energy. So the masculine, the wounded masculine has felt victimized and underappreciated, and they don't have a role. They've been cut out. The masculine was called toxic. It doesn't have a role in society. The masculine is the builder, the holder, the energy that is so in love with creation and wants to see it bloom and flourish for everyone. It's going to take that time and energy out of love to build this world. This is the part of us that can take action and execute our will. But with this Mars Chiron, it's like we can only move forward and Sun square Neptune in alignment with our greater path and purpose. Everything, every decision, everything in your life right now, if it doesn't align or it doesn't have anything to do with your greater path and purpose, get it the F out of your life, right? This is what's going on. We're coming to this Aries activation is bringing us this feeling of urgency and impatience. Aries, very impatient, it's like, let's get on with this now. So, so we're learning to love and receive creation energy and celebrate that. And also the masculine feels like this failure energy, and that we're talking about with the Sagittarius full moon, of not being able to fulfill your greater quest. And then that failure energy keeps the masculine in shame, not wanting or not feeling like, it's just immobilized and not inspired to act and build in the world. But when he falls back in love with creation, then he's like ready to just do anything for her, you know? And so this is what we're healing inside. And that wounded masculine, now Chiron is these deep, deep wounds, and it's life or death and giving over our power, and especially the masculine with Mars and Chiron together. But when the wounds of Chiron are healed, then what's revealed is a shamanic power. So we're looking at the shamanic power of life force and the ability to wield. It's kind of like a picture of Michael's sword, right? The ability to wield the power of love of the goddess for good and true, you know, and to contain and maintain a sacred space so that life can flourish. And so with Jupiter there also in Aries, it's this huge expansion of possibility into this divine masculine activation of like just so back in love with life and inspired to co-create together. And this is the shift of energies. Now on the feminine side, we've got Venus and Uranus, massive activation of higher vibrational energies. It's like a Kundalini awakening. And it's literally like the energy of creation and the flow of life and all the primordial waters that, you know, this abundance of creation energy that's available. She's getting immersed in this. And it's like Mother Earth is asking us to embody her love on a cellular level and build the garden and new earth there by fully receiving these energies. Really powerful for Venus to come into that Uranus conjunction and then now in the North Node. And this will be kind of this period of time from today, this Sagittarius full moon to the solstice. This is all kind of playing out and kind of building up to that solstice energy as well, and a very fiery activation, because the Sun square Neptune, which is kind of the peak energy of the full moon, will be happening a couple of days after, but we'll start to feel it on today. We're starting to feel that on the full moon. So incredibly dynamic energies. This combination, because the Sun in square to Neptune is in square to Neptune, and that with the Sun and the moon and square Neptune, it's that mutable T-square, like, oh no, you don't. Something's in the way. We can't go this way anymore. And that's saying we can't allow the persecution of light to negate our light and our path and our purpose anymore. How about we let it validate it and say, can't touch this, you know? In that energy of, in order to survive, we must thrive. Right now, we've got to grab a hold of this experience. And that also means coming into and expressing. So this full moon is an adjustment in our lives that allows us to incarnate our divine feminine and masculine, to come home and embody the energies of creation, to build the garden on a cellular level, and to walk with truth and love and beauty. Carrying the garden with us. And that builds the garden. The garden will just build. Life lives life. The masculine, with a taste of this juicy energy, then says, I know what to do now to support this. And it's okay that I was separated and didn't think I deserved it, because now I can see we all deserve it just by existing. This is the conundrum of Aries. This going into this place of, so Aries is about where we differentiate into an individual, you know, coming into form. And there's this deep and powerful esoteric loneliness that comes along with Aries energy, because Aries is going to go their own way. And often the pay the price for it to go your own way and have your freedom is to be exiled or excommunicated from the community, or out of safety and security for the group. This is what we agreed to do. We agreed to disperse. We agreed to disperse. We didn't want to hurt each other or our cause, whatever that is, right? Some idea of some stories from past lives, but really it's an energy and a feeling and a vision. This Sagittarius is about a vision, claiming back our vision and letting everything in our life move and breathe in alignment with that. And how powerful this activation and recapitulation of the masculine and feminine energies. There's deep mysteries in this. And if we can get out of the whole male-female body and how it all, and understanding these energies within us, this is how we open back up our heart. You've got to have a balance of the masculine and feminine. And this is what we're going through right now. In order to fully live, in order to thrive, in order to survive, we've got to break down our armor that's been keeping us from allowing this love to come in, so that we're inspired to build and work in these energies. Now, the more that we can demonstrate and receive these energies on a cellular level and begin working in this garden energy, the more the people around us can get inspired and be like, well, I can do that too. This is a revolutionary act to fully live and fully experience and fully express. This is the supernova energy. It's like, okay, now you figured out your supernova soul, which means you have massive potential that has not been actualized. What are you going to do with it? And that's what so this Sagittarius full moon is a perfect time to vision, and all through through the solstice, as Mercury is coming out of retrograde, and these very powerful dynamic energies. And it's like, all right, reset, revive, realign with that greater vision, and recognize the wounded masculine that feels like he failed. And why should he bother trying, right? And honor and love that feminine enough to feel safe. Allow her to feel safe to receive and flourish and sit and be in these energies, the embodiment. And coming home. So coming home is our true spiritual identity, our spiritual vision of what we know is possible, the embodiment of that energy, and the activated action of fully living as a way to keep from dying, because we're there. And it's our time right now to grab a hold of life and life force. It's who we are. It's our birthright. And we're coming down to the wire on this one. I know you can feel the pressure. The pressure building is all of that inside of you that has not yet been expressed. And now Mercury is direct and moved back into Gemini, right? So we got forward motion, we got fire activation, creation energy, but then that pressure and any grief, unresolved grief, the mutable T-square with Neptune and Pisces, grief over where we've gotten off our path and our purpose. And interestingly enough, as Mercury turns direct, or comes out of retrograde shadow, Mercury will be in a square with Vesta in Pisces. And so Vesta is the asteroid goddess of passion and purpose, everything we're missing, which is life force, which is the reason for living, which is like, Aries is like, go big or go home, right? So with this Vesta, though, in Pisces, it's like grief and blocking and where we got off our path and where we don't feel like we deserve that path and purpose and that spiritual actualization because we were derailed. Well, what if we were derailed because we were over the target? And let's just get back to business, right? That's a powerful energy of the sun in square to Neptune for this, in that mutable T-square with the moon and sun and Neptune. But the sun is also in a trine with Saturn for this full moon, as well as a sextile relationship with the moon. I mean, Saturn is in a sextile relationship with the moon. So this is a very sweet energy of harmonized creative solutions. And it all has to do with a new path forward, a new reality. And we're figuring out the laws and rules. So it's a little bit weird because it's like, oh, finally energy to move forward. Finally, we've got some fire energy, but we're still confused about who we are and what we're doing. And it's like, we have to adjust, and the adjustment is back to that bigger vision and just owning it on that cellular level every day, that you're here to live and breathe and access this life force. I could say life is like the feminine. You could see it as creation energy that's potential. Force is when it's moved in the world. So it's that beautiful picture of the masculine and feminine working together, and the masculine building that container so that this energy can flow. And further inspired by life and beauty and love. And that is the purpose. We're moving into a new renaissance. And so life and beauty and love and what's good and true and manifest in form that relates back to the beautiful geometry of nature. We're going to recreate our whole world into an alignment over this next 200 years, where we have to bring our physical reality back into alignment with nature and harmonize with the earth. So that's a lot of that feminine embodiment energy. It's really about becoming the light body with earth, becoming part of the earth light body, incarnating our Christ consciousness here on earth. So very powerful times and super dynamic and really activating. This is a catapult moment for you. Not that you know where you're going, but that you're determined to head there. And let's do this together. So I hope you can consider joining later today, the full moon activation, Sagittarius full moon activation at 5 p.m. Mountain Time in the US. And if you can't make the live time, just know that we're working outside of time, and you can catch the replay, and the energy will be there. Your questions will be answered. When you make your offering and you come with your energy, then you're a part of the field and can receive. And even if you don't come to the event, you can still receive from this field. This is the supernova abundance economy. And so thank you so much for being here. And very powerful times. So be present and take advantage of these dynamic energies. And I hope to see you later today or on the replay for that Sagittarius full moon, or on the update. There's also going to be a solstice soul group session, and that will be on Monday, the 20th of June. So I look forward to seeing you then or on the next update. Till then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.